Welcome to Tower Tales. I'm your host Mahesh Sharma. Here we bring you the untold stories of veteran air traffic controllers from the Indian Air Force. In each episode, we delve into their experiences, sharing their real stories, anecdotes, challenges, and the critical role they play in ensuring the safety and security of our skies. Get ready to explore the fascinating world behind the control tower and honor these towering heroes of aviation. We have a special guest for this inaugural episode who was an extraordinary controller. He hails from Shimoga and was commissioned in the IAF in 1977. He has held the prestigious appointment of Air Officer in Charge Administration, a principal staff officer to the Chief of the Air Staff at Air Headquarters for a period of over 2 years, and retired in 2015. He began his career as an air traffic controller and excelled in this profession and achieved highest professional category, Category A. He has held various appointments, which include Senior Air Traffic Control Officer, SATCO as we call it, and Chief GCA Controller at fighter bases. He had an instructional tenure at Air Traffic Control Officers Training Establishment at the prestigious Air Force Academy and was an Air Force examiner on air traffic control and a member of Directorate of Air Staff Inspection, which is entrusted with the task of assessing operational capability of the air traffic controllers. For his exceptional service to the nation, he has been awarded with Vishisht Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, and Param Vishisht Seva Medal by the Honorable President of India. He was a keen sportsman and has a special liking towards badminton. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our special guest today, Air Marshal HB Rajaram. Good afternoon, Air Marshal Rajaram, and welcome to this inaugural podcast of Tower Tales. How are you doing, sir?
Good afternoon, Mahesh. So nice to connect with you after such a long gap. I'm doing perfectly fine, relaxing after retirement.
It is always a pleasure connecting with you, sir. And first of all, my heartfelt thanks for accepting this invite and being my first guest in the first inaugural episode of the Tower Tales. For me, it is quite an overwhelming moment because, connecting with somebody whom you look upon as a role model, and especially from my early days in the air traffic control, I have been following you. And also, this is one of my dreams come true because I thought that we would make a repository of the reminiscences of air traffic controllers. And this has been on my mind for quite some time, and I think it saw the light of the day. And nothing would have given me greater pleasure than having you in the inaugural episode. So, thank you again, Rajaram sir.
Thank you so much, Mahesh. It's great to connect with you, as I mentioned.
How did you happen to join the Air Force, and what made you an air traffic controller? Could you just tell us a little bit about it, going back into the memories?
Okay, Mahesh, joining Air Force was a sheer accident. In fact, those days, we didn't even bother to look into coming from deep down south. We had no such inclination towards defense. Neither we had any knowledge. It just happened, some of my friends were going through the advertisements and I just happened to pass through. So I asked them, what is it? They said, no, it's an advertisement for Indian Air Force. So we are applying. They're quite handsome, tall guys, handsome, well-built sportsmen. So this is not for you. I said, yeah, let me just see what it is. I had a look and I was very careful in reading, what are the requirements. It mentioned post-graduation, graduation, first class, second class, all those things. And then it had... I just looked for physical attributes. It only mentioned physically fit. So I always thought I was physically fit, despite my lack of height, weight, everything. I said, yeah, there is nothing barring here. I will also apply. So I borrowed the papers from them and I applied. And we had to spend only 50 paise those days, postage, nothing else. I had a final true copy with me. They posted it and went away. And nobody ever probably gave me a chance, including myself. I thought, let me go and have a look. Since address was New Delhi and up and down fare being paid, so that was attraction. Okay, looking, going and coming back from New Delhi. So that's how, finally, of course, when the call came, it's a big story. I don't want to, recollect all those things. And I did happen to get selected and then joined to utter surprise of many, including myself, but I did do well. Okay. So that is as far as the Air Force is concerned. And coming to ATC, no, I never wanted to be an ATC officer. See, at the younger days, you always have that fascination towards word fighter. So we all wanted to be fighter controllers. In fact, all my course-mates, except probably a couple of them, I'm not too sure. Every one of us volunteered for being fighter controllers, and we are detailed for ATC. So looking back, they did a great favor to most of us, and particularly to me. I think I enjoyed being a air traffic controller rather than probably I would have had, because you're directly in contact with the aircraft operation on a day-to-day basis. That is what is very important, and you're directly involved. All right, you're not, maybe role is a little less during ops, but that's fine. But then we never saw ops in that sense actually. So I'm very happy going, looking back, whoever took that decision on my behalf to shove me into the ATC. I think I'm in the ultimate analysis, I was happy. Okay.
That's very interesting, sir. I think many of the Air Force air traffic controllers can relate to that. But this is something which was completely, a surprise after you joined, and it came to you because I think you would have joined as an administrator. But then you were sent into the air traffic control branch, and I mean, that was something which you really liked also. So that was quite interesting. But okay, so since you're talking about those days, so what was a typical day for because I guess you joined in 77.
Yes.
And yeah, so what was a typical day for an air traffic controller, especially a young air traffic controller? That time we used to have a pilot officer rank also.
Yeah. Well, pilot officer. So good or bad, my first posting was Kanpur, which hardly had 2 flights in a day, and some test flights and transit flights, nothing more than that. And the day would start half an hour before dawn, the watch hour, normal watch hour, and most of the time it was uneventful, and it went on for almost 3 years and 9 months. I was quite sick and tired of that tenure in that sense, actually. Okay, in between, of course, somebody wanted to do me a good turn, so he went to DATS at that time, Directorate of ATC. Tried to get me a posting to a better place. In his opinion, he was also an ATC officer. But no. They said he is not suitable for busy flying stations, so which is record says so. With experience, he's likely to become an average controller. This is what BTS at that time. That's what I mean. My performance probably truly reflected that. So I was held there for almost 3.5 years. After that, I was then again one more gentleman tried. It's Cadmo there at that time, ex-ATC. So that time I was posted to Suratgarh. So he went to headquarters again. What nonsense? Why are you posting him to Suratgarh? Send him to some good places and all. They said, no, Suratgarh has a lot of flying. So they showed him some data, which I am not too sure what data he saw. He said, yeah, this is what it is. You'll have to go. I said, okay, I'll go, no problem. And mind you, Suratgarh at that time when I went in 81, I think 81, little March, April or something like that. The only thing which was regularly flying there was huge mosquitoes, nothing more than that. It didn't have a squadron. It didn't have anything. Once in a way, an AOP helicopter would come and take refueling and go. That was all. Except during September and March period, we used to have exercises. That time it used to be fully occupied and it was absolutely busy. So other than that, first almost 6 years plus, I spent time like this. It's only when I went to Adampur after that around 83, the routine started, early morning you go half an hour before, dawn, and, then continue your watch 1:30, get afternoon off and again go for night flying, get back afternoon. So this routine, shift, and I wasn't very inconvenienced by the shift Saturday, Sunday holiday. I was mentally probably more suited for all these kind of adjustments. So I was quite comfortable actually, but I enjoyed the stay at Adampur despite, very heavy flying and all. I really enjoyed. I learned my basics, honestly speaking, at that place.
So I recall those days, Satco used to be a big man.
Yeah.
Because that time, of course, the women had not joined the Indian Air Force. And we recall from morning to evening as a youngster, we would start the day with the runway inspection and then carry on monitoring before we are put on to the live flying and then become ops and things like that. So thanks for taking down that memory lane because I can completely relate to it.
Things here, since you mentioned Satcos used to be very big, definitely even a senior flight lieutenant Satco was a big thing. Okay. In fact, my first post in Kanpur, the first day when I went, morning I went and reported. He says, okay, do your arrival, come back by 1:30. So I didn't know. So I went back by 1:30. He says, okay, afternoon shift is yours. There was not a word of briefing. Thankfully, he had left a JW, experienced JW. Yeah, I can recall his name already, JW Chaco, who was my first guru in that base. He explained to me which is runway 27, which is 09, what is altitude here, what are the channels, are some channels and all those things. And next day morning when I reported, he told me, sir, tomorrow morning you'll be coming at so and so time. I said, okay, I came at that time. And I found I was all by myself along with JW Chaco, who was just standing behind me. And my Satco appeared only at 1:30 to relieve me in the shift. And my shift started independent from the day one. Okay, which I don't think should ever happen. I don't think it will happen today.
Yeah.
It's completely different state of affairs.
Yeah. No, absolutely, sir. I think it is a very unnerving feeling, if I recall from my experience, because of course, whatever we are taught in the during our simulations, and those days the simulation used to be manual simulations in the AT court. I remember with Mr. Arkin and we would move those aircraft manually on the board.
The perspective sheet.
But then, getting into a live situation and you're actually on RT with live aircraft and pilots flying, it's quite an unnerving situation at first.
No doubt, yeah. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So putting you directly onto a ops thing, like you said, it will never happen again.
Yeah,
But I mean, sir, that brings me to another question. You see, you have seen those days, and you've also seen how we moved from the technology at that point of time to fans, and then CNS APM in I think 1991 when it was introduced. How did the technology and equipment you worked on evolve over the career? And what were some of the limitations that you actually worked with? So now, if you recall, in hindsight, today it's a very, very cushy thing. But then, what are some of the limitations you worked with?
Yeah, a lot of limitations. You see, you manned by only 180 officer, and you had 3 channels. All 3 channels you had to keep it open. If you put on the headset, you lost the other 2 channels. That's number one. And in any case, we didn't have any great headset like what we have today. They're ear defenders, and you couldn't sustain them for 5 to 10 minutes. After that, you have to take it out. They're so hard. And even mics, you had to press it so many times to find out it is making a contact. Gone are those. We didn't have that foot mic or lift mic or all those things, which came much later in our lives. So this is, at least Kanpur had some pi sets and AD200. Okay, the old generation, not many would recall that actually.
Yes.
And 3 channels, open channels, you have to keep it on. So when I came to Suratgarh, it is even worse actually. Okay, there are 3 local, speakers which hardly anybody could make out. Even once the squadron moved in here, that was the state of affair, and no SFS actually could make out what is being transmitted. Hey, what is this? So this is the situation when we started actually. And we also, of course, as a youngster, we didn't have any experience. We had not seen any other ATC. We didn't know what is required. First day when Suratgarh night flying started, when the squadron came after two years plus. So I didn't know, we didn't even have a table lamp in ATC. Okay. So I used a glim lamp and covered it with a paper, and then I was doing controlling. The station commander came behind and he says, you don't even have right? So he called a photographer, got my photo, and then he told him to bring a small table lamp and then put it and take the photograph again. So those were the days actually. So we came from 8200 and local mics and speakers. And by the time when I came to Adampur, I think slightly better condition. eye sets were there, I had nice, and and go to radar, you got foot PTT and all those things. They were better. Then DRDF came into existence. Later CADF came into existence. Okay, NBIs came. So it gradually evolved actually, but we all terminated our air traffic control at ATCR 40 and ER3. Uh, okay. And of course, I never had opportunity to work on Thomson CSF set and all those things, but then I'd seen all those things. But it was gradual change. But today, I think it's a different world altogether. Absolutely different.
Yeah.
Comfort levels.
Yeah. I actually I came to know the other meaning of hunting after I joined air traffic control, because before that, hunting had a different meaning. But when we saw that 8210C, we learned how it used to hunt. And then I wonder if people would know what QGH used to mean at the, I mean, at that point of time, it used to give sweats, old sweats, when you would sit and do a QGH, a live QGH, and especially when the examiners, and you have been an examiner, you would know. As such, there would be there would be so much of stress on the controller, and QGH used to be something which was something to be cracked.
Yeah.
Sir, can you share? I mean, maybe a memorable story from your tenures as a SATCO, as an examiner, some memorable story from those days which comes to your mind.
I don't know, SATCO as examiner, not many managers. I like to recollect really, but as a DATCO, as an ATCO, I have got fair amount of examples that, as you mentioned, the QGH was a very, unnerving things to start with. As a pilot officer, I had a very interesting experience. Okay, I mean, where is vital QGH in place like Kanpur? You have no opportunity.
Yes.
But it so happened, one squadron was ferrying from Tejpur to Kanpur, and Kanpur further it was going to west. So as they got up and they were over the clouds and they didn't see anything below till they came to Kanpur, and Lucknow was giving radar coverage, and I had fortunately Lucknow channel also with me as I was monitoring it. So when they told Lucknow that it is 8x8, give me a PLD. So a few minutes later, the Lucknow radar went off. He said, weapon bent, you change over to so and so. Now, a young pilot officer with my AD tone in hunting, 5 degrees that way, 5 degrees this way, 10 degrees that way. I had all that were with me, and one poor senior met officer with me telling me not to do control descent because your equipment is not. I said, they have not seen ground. What do you expect? Your NDB is not operating properly, so there is no way I can give up. Okay. So I just disregarded and I did a first ever control descent, tactical control descent with 4 aircraft. Okay. So anyhow, whatever theory I had learned, and I just
It was put to use.
applied it, and then fortunately everybody came separate. All right. Okay. They came down. So when the last aircraft was landed, and that is the time this leader, he says, okay, I'm going off the air. He was monitoring all throughout, so he didn't know what was happening. So next day when he came to file a plan, he asked, yeah, one thing you tell me, you are asking every time, transmit again. Two calls you are taking at one this thing. I said, yes, sir, fine. Homer was, either +5 or -5 or +3. So I had to apply that correction and give it for that time. He said, my God, your Homer also was not working. I said, no, it was working within that limitation. So, thank God we came down. So we had such kind of, instances without.
Yeah, and dead reckoning used to play a part. Of course, that was very important. But it's so thrilling to hear such stories, and I'm sure there are plenty of such stories that you have limitation of time. Moving on to the next thing, sir, you have seen many operations. I think the brass tacks, the Op Vijay, and Op Parakram and things like that, where there used to be a lot of pressure both on the pilots and controllers, because as we all know that flying in military is different, and the air traffic controlling in military is slightly different, because being a tactical controlling as opposed to what we do in the civil ATC. So there used to be a lot of stress. Do you recall any such situation during these kind of activations wherein the air traffic control was put to test and how it rose to the occasion?
Yeah, I think not many operations I did see because by then I became the senior and whatever exercises, there are plenty of exercises. WSA I spent 6, 7 years.
Yes, sir.
It used to be demanding in burst actually because they'll go once and come back. So recovery itself was quite a task. Even in Adampur, local flying, evening sorties, 1 hour sortie, all three squadrons want to fly low flying and all of them want to do other things. And then everybody wants to get airborne in that 1 hour slot and come back and land also. Okay. So
The
it's a
dreadful first detail.
yeah, very challenging. No, this is the evening detail.
Yes.
So,
Okay, sir.
Baki
Yeah.
details to get adjusted.
Yes. Yes.
The evening details that no, you have to land within this much of
Oh, yeah.
time before
Last
landing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember one day we didn't have even radar. It was not serviceable, and self and one was a very senior controller sitting next to each other. We were operating, and we didn't have time to utter a word. It was all slide, written down, pass, slide, pass. You know, it was all going down. And Chatko had come and stood behind us since he had gone for golf or something. He had come back and stood. Then as he was going down, I just called him, sir, please come. Today we managed it. I can tell you, we just managed it. Tomorrow we can't assure this. You will have to speak to crew, you'll have to speak to squadron. You can't have all three squadrons going for low flying and they're all going in, you know. Okay, you're going this way, I'm going this way. They're all crossing everybody. And everybody wants to come with the last drop of, you know, fuel in their tank.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, it's very tough. You've got to speak to them. So
Yeah.
very challenging, even in brass tack and all those things we used to have. But actual operations, the greatest advantage is other flying was not there. Okay, you can launch aram se, you can recover also aram se. It is during the practice only I used to find it extremely, you know, demanding because there were no restrictions imposed on number of aircraft. Over a period of time, all these things, you know, night flying, so only one detail will have these many or not more than that. All those things came. But before that restrictions came, it was quite demanding and particularly the kind of equipment we had. And you know what kind of training we started with. And but yes, I think I give a lot of credit to my seniors. They would have received even worse training than us. But they did so well, and we could learn from them in the later part of the life, actually.
I completely agree, sir. And, you know, as if this was not enough, sometimes the weather would wear a spoil sport and the Met officer would be under pressure for lifting the cautionary or the weather warning, and then everybody would try to get airborne and come back together. You know, most of them thirsty to land back as soon as possible. And these things would happen. But you know, like we say, we talk about airmanship. Now, airmanship is connected to the aviation, and those are the qualities or traits of a good pilot. What do you think when we translate airmanship to a controller? What do you think are the essential skills for someone to become a good military controller?
I think all these things are taught to us that, you know, you have to be, you know, you have to use a standard alternator and you have to go to stick to it. There are no pleasantries that are generally being exchanged there. And be brief, be accurate, be clear. I mean, there is no shortcut to this, actually. Okay. And I've had the good fortune of, you know, getting trained in Civil Aviation Training Center. They were so damn strict with respect to alternator. You won't use one word extra. You won't delete one word. But absolutely right transmissions. I think these are very essential because especially under the military conditions, mind you, they have plenty of time. Okay. They don't have that kind of pressure that we have. But in our case, with everybody coming together, everybody going together, the RT knacker is quite high. Unless you are clear and concise and to the point, you are unnecessarily, you know, wasting somebody else's time and your own time, actually.
Yes.
That I feel is very, very essential as a military aviator or a controller, I would say, airmanship. Like what airmanship is that he has to follow discipline-wise. What instruction is given, he must follow it. You can't violate it. I mean, if you violate, he is at peril, actually. Likewise, we also have to be, you know, very, very clear in our transmissions. Don't give clearances which are not warranted. Even when some people, very high ranking are flying, they demand something. If it doesn't suit the traffic situation, you got to take a stand. I mean, this is absolutely required. I have plenty of examples where I had to overrule people. Their ranks were kept aside, and they were treated as a aircraft. And that's all about. I mean, that was taught to us, and I followed it meticulously. Okay. I was surprised actually that I followed it. When
I remember that. And I think that is the legacy the senior controllers left for the juniors as they shaped them for future roles. But like you said, accuracy, brevity, and clarity, like we say in service writing, is also applicable in air traffic control. And I think we need to have a backbone and a heart. Both in place. Because you're managing men also at the same time. It is
managing somebody's life.
Yes. Managing somebody's life too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can recall one instance where, you mentioned the bad weather. We were in Adhampur again. It was a dust storm and it didn't give much warning. We did recover most of the aircraft. They all came and landed. Not that we did anything great. I was just a bystander. I was off duty. I was sitting in the radar just to gain experience. And its senior controller was on the thing. By that time, the last gentleman came, the fairly senior responded to that time, flight commander. When he came for the landing, it was almost zero visibility. And now sitting in tower, SATCO and other senior SFS and senior controllers, they've got a lot of advice to give you for a radar controller. As it is, he's under stress and they have a lot of advice to give. So first time he followed that advice. They said, short circuit, this, everything. I was telling him, sir, it nahi hoga. No, but he had to oblige it. So he took and he couldn't come back. And then now he was left with hardly 400 liters, of which he required 250 liters for one circuit. Okay, made Type 21. So next time when all those things were going on, cacophony was going on, I just took the courage to switch off the intercom. I told him, sir, just listen to me. He has only one chance. Take him standard circuits. That will give you time. That will give him also time. Put him on finals. Now don't listen to anything. Okay. Traffic is closed. Don't worry about it. Continue with your approach. If you're worried, I will sit and do it. He said, no, I will do it. He's a good controller. Okay, very good controller. He was absolutely sweating. There was so much tension under AC, he was sweating. But we managed to take in 10 miles out, base leg turn, finals, on the, and he told him, we're going to land on this. He says, you bet I will land. This is a transmission I will never forget in my life. Okay, zero visibility. Oh, I said, continue till you lose radar contact. Over the tumble, over the touchdown. That's the time he put the aircraft down and she landed. And after that only I switched on that intercom. I don't know in between what happened, God knows. Since everything was fine, nobody asked any question. Because the aircraft landed, we were happy. That's all about it. So nobody knew also that I switched it off. They all thought must be, we are following their instructions. We never followed their instructions.
Okay. No, I think such stories can give you goosebumps.
You need courage to take such decisions.
Yes.
Adhampur gave me plenty of such occasions. Another time, Adhampur, I was a ATC officer, tower controller. We were operating on standby towers, and again a senior controller was sitting in radar. We were between runway and taxi track. So the big boss came and said, what is the weather? So weather was partly unrated flying. Okay. One of the unrated chaps was flying at 4.5 kilometers overhead. He had no sector because everybody else was occupying that side. He said, no, I don't believe in that. Who's flying there? And pilot also was flying there. He said, ask him to make an approach. So that fellow made an approach. Unfortunately, he was, now I realize that he was avoiding a cloud and he made about 45-degree angle once. He made another approach, he went to the other side. This I told you, weather is not good. Recover everybody on radar. Which was their direction. You can't violate it. So I knew the entire squadron plus were there. There, one controller on GCA. Those are the days only one controller was there.
Yes.
You can't handle both PR and if you have to vector also, if you have to do precision also, it is not a practical thing. So I had another controller, much senior to me, but he is just new to that place. So I told him, sir, this is traffic light. This is off now. Okay. And I called on JW, who was the runway, which managed runway. I told him, take all the sweepers, plug all the loopholes, and tell me when the parallel taxi track is active. He says, okay, sir, JW Rajagopalan, I can take his name. I went running, but fortunately, who came, in his car and picked me up and took me to this thing, and we started doing controlling. Well, first was the squadron commander. Okay, he came on track. Up to 5 kilometers, everything is fine. Nothing wrong with that. At 5 kilometers, suddenly started going one side. We kept firing instructions, nothing. Then he had to go around. There's no way he could come back and land.
Yeah.
It just hit us. So we didn't know what was happening. So next was flight commander. Good flyers. Mind you, all these are good flyers.
Okay. Yeah.
He again, up to 5 kilometers, no problem. We were expecting maybe there's a wind shear. That's why he's gone this way. We were expecting to correct on the first indication, but he goes the other way. Okay, he went on the other way and again he had to go. Likewise, except one flight lieutenant who passed through that and went there. And unfortunately, he saw parallel taxi tag, which was not active, which was though it was told where is that, he had to go and they had to send him out. But finally, everybody came. Visually, everybody had to land except one fellow who landed off his thing. Half the squadron landed on parallel taxi track and half the squadron landed on it. Okay. It was a purely, the factor that people, we were hauled up to the AOC's office because AOC is standing in, AOC, who everybody is some controller. So, topi of we chale gaya. So, but great credit to the squadron commander. He said, sir, I have a thing to confess before you start anything. I said, okay, go ahead. He said, this is no fault of these two controllers. We just heaved a sigh of relief. He says, with all this experience, at 5 kilometers, I found a patch of cloud. I didn't want to go through it. I took a left turn. My flight commander took a right turn. Likewise, everybody took whichever turn they felt like. But none of us had, enough distance to come back and land. It is absolutely no fault of these controllers. Please do not blame them. So AOC didn't know what to do. We just said, okay, march back. Okay. So now you're talking of airmanship. The trust in controllers, trust in the equipment was something which was amiss at that point in time, irrespective of the fact that the wing commander, senior wing commander, the exceedingly good flyers, they didn't want to go through that patch because they're not used to the instrument side. That was the whole problem. Okay. They somehow were thinking that I will avoid this patch and I will land. But that never happened actually. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is whether sometimes place in the mind rather than actually.
So yeah, absolutely. That is why there's an old saying, that many people have gone into situations, but they've always been told trust your instrument, and especially when they are flying in weather.
Yes.
So yeah. But such stories, I am sure you have plenty of such stories. Like I said earlier, and this is a good example of controller pilot rapport and the kind of relationships we shared. And then they had your back also, knowing where they had gone wrong. And I mean, that kind of integrity was also.
Credit to that gentleman. Yes. I'm not too sure how many people would have said that and got us out of that. We had no answer. Why we didn't get a single fellow on radar? We had no answer. But till then, we didn't know what was actually happening.
No, sir, tell me one thing. If you've seen, when you left in 2015, if I'm right, when your uniform in 2015.
Yeah.
When you were the AOA, head of the administration. But you have seen youngsters and the ethos changing over a period of time. What advice would you give to the young controllers? Probably many of them would be listening to this from your experiences way back from 70s to the modern day. You've seen certain things change. But what do you think are some of the core values and what would be the advice you would give to the young controllers?
One is 100% attention sitting on the control chair, whether it is radar or it is tower. There can't be any other thing that you can employ there. You have to be attentive and you have to have certain amount of anticipation with respect to traffic. And also you have to be flexible enough to change what if your anticipation doesn't come true. For particularly a military aviation, you got to be absolutely on the ball all that time. You got to be there each and every moment because once you leave that chair, you don't have to do anything. You are absolutely carefree. But when you are there, you can't be, taking your mind off. You have to have a ear for your fellow controller. You have to have a ear for your intercom. You have to have a ear for your remote controller, everything. But everything focused towards one thing, that is concentration and focused and be disciplined. Don't have to be pally. You follow the rules. Rules are so well made. It is made with safety in mind, actually. So if you follow the rules, if you follow their traffic rules, you're not going to make a mistake. I can just give for two examples of,
Sure, sir.
one transmissions, how it has made a change. Okay. I was again in Kanpur, winter, it was poor visibility. So we did a controlled descent. Okay. That's a poker friendship take. After nothing, wait, aram se jayega, jayega.
Yes.
And when he came for the finals, I couldn't see him actually. I was sitting in the tower. So he said, sir, runway in contact, permission to land. I just asked him, check wheels down and locked. He went wrong. Because he had not, in all the tension, he had forgotten. He was sitting like a pilot. Okay, he's forgotten. He came back and made another circuit, landed. He came running, jumping to the tower. He said, I'm very sorry, please don't report it. And for us, it doesn't make any difference. We didn't report it. And similar thing happened in Bagdogra. I was a radar controller. We were doing a port. Calcutta flight, I distinctly remember, came for a, it was raining actually. So he was also not able to. I made two approaches on 36, which is the standard runway there. Then he said, I think 18 is better. Can you give me radar? I said, no, radar, we don't have 18. I can only give you surveillance. He said, okay. So I brought him on this thing. Again, he said, sir, runway in contact, permission to land. Yes. Same transmission, confirm wheels down and locked. He went wrong. Now he had 100 odd people on board. So he, of course, they are very closely located there. He came running, jumping. Yes, sir, save me, don't worry. But what I mean to say is our rules, regulations, transmissions have an inbuilt safety. You use them. After all, it is his responsibility to have the undercarriage down. I mean, not mine. But these two transmissions, two-way aft, and I don't know how many lives. Okay. So it's a very valid.
There is, I think military controllers, the way they are groomed and bred, also, I think the sense of ownership and is also inculcated.
Yeah, it's not. Very clear. We belong actually.
Yeah. So they any asset at a base, they feel as if they own it and they are committed to it.
Yes,
They go beyond the normal.
Yes.
So
unless you have sense of commitment, I don't think you will be serving the organization or the nation.
yes, I think that's a big, loud message to the youngsters to see it's not just the ATC team, it is the station team. And
you can get your team down.
Yeah, yes. I think as we inch towards the end of this podcast, I think I can go on and on with you. But it's so tempting. But any, boosters used as only traditions. As you have been a SATO and AOC and things like that. I think you've had a very, very consummate service career. I think everything that possibly an admin officer can think of, you've done it. Can you share any tradition which you fondly recall in ATC, something humorous, or you very fondly recall some traditions that used to happen in those days?
I do not know whether you call it tradition or not. We always remained as a team. That was a very big thing. Irrespective of our personal differences, sitting on chairs, controller chairs, I think we always functioned as team, and that was the greatest asset. That's the great one. In a lighter sense, of course, when we are young, they always instituted tradition as a controller is you must smoke and you must drink. Fortunately, I didn't fall into that tradition, and they always told me, you're never going to become a good air traffic controller. I said, that's all right, sir. Okay, of course, I defined it, that's a different issue. Okay, so as a team, we always worked. We always looked after each other. If somebody requires a relief, it didn't matter what time, what day, and we did give relief. And the similar thing came to us also. See, it was a team. So I think it's a great bondage as an ATCO we carried through. And it did help in later part in the life also. You be a team man. That is a very important lesson ATC teaches you. You can't work individually. However brilliant you are, you have to have your partner with.
Absolutely. I think I very fondly recall all those tenures where as part of ATC family, and we would do all crazy things. But yes, and we were at work. It was very cohesive, and everybody was committed. Um, for an ATCO, I think ATC officer is also a good communicator. And so, how do you remain in touch with your ex and former colleagues? What do you do? Are you in touch with some of them?
Yeah, thanks to WhatsApp, we had contact with many people today, actually.
Yes, I think
Prior to the possibility it would have been a decision. I think I've generally been in touch with people with whom I've worked and had good relationships. And once in a while I do call, and I also get a lot of calls. And that's the biggest. WhatsApp has given a big strength to not only ATC colleagues, even the course mates and friends and classmates and high school mates, MSc mates, all different kind of groups. I'm generally alive with all these things. Yeah.
I think this is the one area where technology has really been a...
Today, communications are so cheap. You don't even blink an eye when you want to call somebody. 20 years back, you would have thought twice because it would cost you a fortune to you for one call, actually. Today, it doesn't cost you, actually. It's a great thing to have.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. I think we had a wonderful conversation, and I wish I could go on with you, but I think there would be many such other occasions when people will keep sharing stories. This being an inaugural episode, I think we had a very, very broad overview of the air traffic controller. We'll get into more nitty-gritties as we go along with more episodes and other controllers, but I really want to thank you for having accepted this and spared your time to be here. For me particularly, it's very satisfying because I remember you have been my boss and also were instrumental in certifying me as a GCA controller.
I was instructor there, yes.
Yes, sir.
I had the good fortune of getting trained in a simulation training center, which came very handy when we acquired a simulator at home. And it's a great aid. And I must thank both the gentlemen probably are not there today, Mr. Mishra and Mr. B.N. Gupta. Yeah. Outstanding instructors. If I have reached anywhere in air traffic controlling as a controller, I think I completely owe it to them. It is their training, their dedication, their determination that, as a young boy, flight lieutenant with no experience behind, had gone for the course, but they really taught me, and it came long way along with me as it is. I just can't forget that. Great.
I think it's this. I think this platform is another wonderful opportunity to thank our peers, our bosses, those who have actually shaped our lives. So I think that thanks to your humility, you recall them, and that's so nice of you. Thank you, once again. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Mahesh. Time was a constraint. There was plenty of things there to talk.
Yes, I'm sure. We'll keep listening to other controllers also as we go for the idea.
They will have far more interesting episodes. Yeah. I'm pretty sure about it.
I think every episode is going to be interesting, I'm sure. Okay. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye, Mahesh. Thank you for this opportunity. I was privileged to be the first one to be a part of your podcast transmission. Immensely indebted to you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Tower Tales, the ATC podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained a deeper appreciation for the incredible work of air traffic controllers. If you loved what you heard, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues. Stay tuned for more tales from the tower. Until the next episode, episode 2, this is Mahesh Sharma, your host, signing off for now. Safe travels and good day.
Flight 118, turn right at 250, maintain